Yui Kusanagi, a normal high school girl who was asked by her classmates of her plans after graduation while on their way to her family's shrine near their school. As Yui prepared to start her shrine duties, she heard a voice calling her name inside the storehouse. The voice is coming from an old sealed sword. As she tried to open it, suddenly everything turned bright and white. Then when she opened her eyes, she was transmitted to an unfamiliar place. She saw the sword lying on the ground, and as she touched it, the sword shrank and became a necklace. The young lady went around to look for someone, and on her search to find a person who might be able to tell her where she is. One by one, she bumped into these famous mythical gods. First, she met Hades. He's not the welcoming type. Aside from being gloomy, he also warned Yui to keep distance from him because she might get cursed if she comes any closer. In an empty classroom, Yui next met Tsukiyomi and Susanoo. Tsukiyomi is Susanu's big brother. He is the silent and expressionless type, but speaks bluntly when spoken to. Meanwhile, Susanoo is the short-tempered and brash brother, who is forcefully asking Yui if she's from that place. However, Tsukiyomi stopped him and said that Yui also doesn't know anything. After Susanoo explicitly said that Yui is useless and to refrain from following them, they both left. Yui went upstairs to the rooftop, and from there she saw strange floating landforms, mysterious infrastructures, and vast greeneries that are obviously not from her world. As she gazed upon the beautiful scenery, a winged horse landed in front of her, and in her fear of the winged horse's big physique, Yui went running down the flight of stairs and bumped in next to Loki. Loki was shown to be looking for his friend. He described him as someone with long golden hair and blue northern sea eyes. He asked Yui if she had seen him, but Yui said she had not. So Loki, without further ado, left the clueless Yui once again, alone. As Yui walks down the hall near the garden, she sees the person Loki was looking for. His name is Balder. The guy seems kind and easy to talk with. Unlike the others, Balder is approachable. As he talks with Yui about their situation, they both figure that they do not know where they are. So Balder offers help to search together. When reaching out for Yui, Balder fell down twice, and on the second time he crashed on top of Yui, and they both landed on the bed of flowers. Yui turned very red and did not know what to do. Balder complimented how beautiful Yui's eyes are and helped her get up. Balder was quite amazed by how small and soft Yui's hands are, so as he held her hands, suddenly Loki entered and started scolding Yui. His expression of hatred for the girl is very incomprehensible for her, because she was not even doing anything wrong. Then Loki whispered to Balder that he saw some other Greek guys in the vicinity, and it seemed that the place was set up by someone. Yui asked Loki to tell her more about what he knows. However, Loki just teased her by saying if she wants to know more, then she should search it herself. Yui was left for the fourth time, and at that moment, she heard the same voice calling her name, and she was teleported to a different room. In that room, she met the creator of the place, the famous Zeus. According to him, he created this place to have the gods that Yui met earlier learn about what being human means and what love means, to prevent a future terrible destruction. He also added that Yui will educate them about humanity. After hearing all those from Zeus, Yui could not accept such an assignment, so she ran outside the room, and almost out of breath, she met another god. The kind-hearted god's name is Apollon. He asked how she is doing, pulled her up, and the scene ended when he leaned his face closer to Yui's. As a continuation to the last episode scene, Apollon leaned closer to Yui's face and gave her a peck on the cheek. He said that it's just a normal greeting for them. However, Yui begged to differ. The kind god gave Yui a view of the whole academy while riding on his Pegasus. Yui then determines that they really have nowhere to go since the island is floating. Back to the main hall, Zeus has now announced the purpose of his program, which is to educate the gods. Though some of them showed disagreement of Zeus' objective, they were rejected by the powerful god when he magically made them wear accessories that sealed their powers, and the only way for those to be removed is when they graduated. In addition, they only have 1 year to understand the human heart. Once they have done it, the magical container will be filled with their accomplishments. They were introduced to their main instructor, Thoth, the god of knowledge. After being guided by Thoth to the school system and her room, Yui met Melissa, a clay doll created by Zeus to assist her with any of her needs. That night, all the gods in each of their rooms were either thinking of a way to escape or how they should blend in well for them to graduate. The following day, even though worried about the family and friends she left behind, Yui courageously prepared herself and in her new school uniform headed to the assembly hall. However, when she arrived, no one was still in there. First to arrive amongst the gods is Balder. While alone with Yui, he asked her if she had known Apollon from before. However, she answered that yesterday was her first time meeting him, and he only gave her a ride to have a view of the academy. Next arrived were Apollon and Tsukiyomi. The four were bothered that only them took the effort to wake up early and prepare for the assembly. The three gods asked Yui what exactly is an entrance ceremony. Then Yui explained that it's something like a ceremony where students are supposed to express their commitment to do well for the starting school year. The three thought though that this is something that needs a sacrifice, or if such commitment was not met, they will be cursed. But Yui said that it's nothing like that at all. The four of them decided to make it better on their first day, so they looked for the other guys to join them. Yui met along the way Susanoo, Loki, Hades, and Thor. However, neither one of them wanted to join the morning assembly. Even though the other four gods did not want to attend with them, somehow Apollon was able to drag Dionysus in the scene. He agreed to be part of the ceremony since it's a hassle to be asked again and again by Apollon. The four gods and Yui started their preparations. They cleaned the hall, put chairs, and made sure that everything needed was all set. When the ceremony was about to start, Thoth did a roll call of the students' names. Those that were present represented themselves accordingly, and those that did not attend were tagged as absent. Together with the five were Zeus homonified spirits to make the academy much more like an ordinary school for humans. During the ceremony, Apollon was called up to represent all the students of the academy while standing in front of Zeus. The young enthusiastic god delivered his speech and said that he is very shocked on how sudden the chain of events is happening and truly surprised to be brought in an unknown place. But regardless of those things mentioned, he believes that there is a reason behind this. He is willing to study the ways of humanity, and with his friends, they all promise to follow the academy's will and graduate. While hearing this speech, Yui was brought into realization that it was not only her who did not know a thing about Zeus' plans, but the gods too, that she's not alone. It was a one fine day at the academy, and the gods' road to understanding humanity started when Thoth taught them about human anatomy. Yui found it impractical because what Zeus intended for them to learn is something much deeper. As the class went on, Yui heard Apollon murmuring to himself that today's lesson was so difficult it felt like an incantation. On the other hand, Tsukuyomi, also known as Tsukito Totsuka, was jotting down notes. However, most of it is useless information. Thoth heard Dionysus sleep-talking while he's in the middle of discussing, and this was noticed by the concerned Balder, so he tried to wake Dionysus up. However, as soon as he pulls Dionysus' shirt, the clumsy god of light fell down from a seat that created a loud crashing sound that woke up Dionysus, and in his surprise, shouted that they are being attacked by a monster. All the students in the class were in panic, and because of that, Thoth angrily walked out of the room. Yui followed him and asked for him to come back, but Thoth was convinced that no one amongst the gods would like to learn the way of humans. As they both talked, the season suddenly changed to summer. He told Yui that from tomorrow, it's the start of the summer vacation. Back to the students' lounge, the five students talked about a way on how to entice the other four uninterested gods to join them in their classes so that they could all graduate together. Yui suggested that they should show them some enjoyable and fun activities that will make them want to participate. Therefore, they decided on a seaside school trip for their summer vacation. The following day, the group went on their seaside school trip. Both Loki and Susanoo, also known as Takeru Totsuka, were both annoyed by the fact that they had to walk their way in the middle of the heat just to participate in their seaside school trip. Finally, after a long sweaty trip under the summer sun, the gang had arrived at the beach. Apollon started to take off his clothes, all ready to swim with his cool beach shorts. He told Yui that he did some research about how seaside school trips are done, and he already informed the guys to prepare their swimwear for the event. And when all the boys are done changing to their swimming attire, suddenly with Zeus' annoying intervention, the season changed to autumn. The water began to be cold, and the gang was not able to enjoy the beach anymore. Even though Apollon and Tsukito tried their best to still enjoy the whole meaning of their trip and went for a swim, they could not stay that long because they are now susceptible to cold due to their human-like bodies and change of temperature. They went to their cabin and stayed to warm themselves up. The other guys, especially Loki and Takeru, are so infuriated by how boring the trip is getting. Hades also added that it might be his fault why they are going through such an unwanted experience, but Apollon immediately said it's not him, but was Zeus, his father's work. That's why they are suffering. The four uninterested gods felt like they were betrayed when the others said that it would be a fun trip. But because of someone wanted meddling from Zeus, everything just went into shambles. In spite of the disheartened spirit of most of the gods, Apollon on the other hand still tried to uplift everyone's spirits. He begged them to stay and he'll find a way to still save their trip. Apollon went outside the cabin to a small fountain hidden behind the trees. Yui followed him and was surprised that Apollon was trying to use his gift of prophecy to know how to make the trip interesting. He told Yui that because of the shackles they are wearing, his full potential to see the future is being abolished, and all he got is just flower. At first, Apollon thought that the prophecy is just talking about a flower as in the plant, but thanks to that, Yui found a solution to save their school trip. As they went out of the fountain, the other two gods, Balder and Tsukito, told them that some of the other guys will now go home and there's no need for them to listen to Apollon, because he's only a student like them. It made Yui think of an idea on how to make them stay. She announced that moving forward, Apollon will be the school student council president, so then the others are obliged to follow everything he says. The two went back to the school to get some materials for their big surprise. As the other gods wait while Tsukito explains that Apollon is now their student council president, Loki is already on the verge of leaving since he finds the trip a waste of his time. However, suddenly he was startled when he saw the flying lights in the sky that looked like burning flowers in the night. Yui and Apollon had prepared a fireworks show for their classmates. It seems that the gods gods were not aware of this wonderful invention of man. Most of them saw this for the first time and enjoyed the view of the bright glowing night sky. As the night went by and on their way back, Yui was left alone in the middle of the forest looking at a blooming flower. This made Apollon worried sick and in panic started to search for her. As soon as he saw Yui, he hugged her so tight and said that he was so scared. He thought that Yui had disappeared. The dumbfounded Yui in response explained that she just saw a blooming flower, that's why she stayed behind for a little while. Then Apollon invited Yui to join Baldur's barbecue party afterwards. Yui Kasanagi, a strong-willed, bright and selfless girl, due to the unexpected whim of the almighty Zeus, was brought into a fiasco to educate some young gods on how to understand the human heart. Although she's worried sick about leaving his family and friends so suddenly, the young maiden did not have a choice but to follow the gods' instructions to find a way for the young gods to learn more about humanity. In the magical academy they are in, Yui got to meet different kinds of gods from different origins and myths. They all have their own powers and way of thinking when it comes to humanity. Others are kind-hearted and understanding, the others are just aggressive, and some are mischievous. Despite being the only living human girl in the school, Yui still finds a way to make everyone participate in school activities and gatherings so that their goal to graduate will be granted to them. With the help and effort the gods are showing, Yui will definitely find a way for them to know more about the culture, lifestyle, and love the humans possess, in order for them to avoid the upcoming future destruction of the world.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.